What is the difference between CSIR net and UGC net? What is the difference between JRF and LS? In this video, we are going to clear all our doubts regarding CSIR net exam. Hello everyone and welcome back to Now I Know. I am Rupal and today we are going to clear one of the most asked doubt that I get almost every other day. That is, what is the difference between CSIR net, UGC net, what is JRF, what is LS? Now to understand this, let's begin with the term net itself. The NET exam, that stands for National Eligibility Test. The term itself says it's an eligibility test for something. It's a national eligibility test. NET makes you eligible if you want to pursue your career in teaching or in research and do PhD in India. So that means if you want to have a career in teaching in good universities and colleges, or you want to pursue research and do PhD eventually, this is the exam you're going to write. There are other exams also that are there in India specific to certain universities, colleges and certain parts. But NET makes you eligible to appear for or eligible to apply for any of the UGC granted colleges, universities, institutes, labs, anywhere in India. So that's a big advantage with NET. Now here I said one more term, UGC. We all know UGC, University Grants Commission, that conducts, or that's the guiding body for all the universities and colleges in India. So UGC NET, UGC is what is a guiding body over this particular exam. But here UGC itself does not conduct this exam, but it has given the responsibility to NTA, that is National Testing Agency, that conducts the exam. You know, NTA is the one that conducts your NEET also. So NTA, National Testing Agency, is the body that conducts the exam. Okay, but it happens under the supervision, under the guidance of UGC. Now, because we have so many different subjects, so many different streams, we have divided this complete NET into two parts. One part which is related to all the science stream, and one part that is related to commerce and humanities. The one that comes under commerce and humanities, that is where you say UGC NET. The UGC NET exam, when you say, that means you are referring to subjects that comes under commerce and humanities. But when you talk about all the science streams, that is your life science, chemical science, your physical science, mathematical science, earth science, all these science streams come under CSIR UGC NET. The conducting body is same for both. It is NTA that conducts the exam. But the difference would be, here it is, in case of commerce and humanities, it is the UGC NET. That means if you qualify for the fellowship, UGC will give you direct grant. So if you are from humanities or commerce, when you fill the form, you are going to take the UGC NET form. But if you are from a science stream, then you are going to take form and you are going to appear for CSIR UGC NET exam. Now if you are from science stream and if you appear for CSIR UGC NET, when the fellowship is given, it is from CSIR and UGC together. Together the funding would be provided. In case of humanities and in case of commerce stream, all other subjects, it was by UGC, but in case of science, it is UGC plus CSIR. That's the difference between CSIR UGC NET and UGC NET. So when you hear this term UGC NET and CSIR UGC NET, understand you're talking about different stream, you're talking about different subject. Most likely because you are on Now I Know channel, chances are that you are from a life science background. So you are going to appear for CSIR UGC NET, and that is the difference. Why CSIR is included in the name? Because it's a joint funding coming from CSIR and UGC. The body that conducts the exam is NTA, that is a common body for, it's just one. Initially there was CBSE also involved. Now it is much more simpler. It's just one single body that is taking care of the exam, makes it really easy to understand. So first of all, CSIR UGC NET and UGC NET is different in a sense that it happens for completely different streams. Now comes the second point. What is JRF and what is LS? JRF stands for Junior Research Fellowship. and LS is for lecturership. So that means you're appearing for this exam either to be eligible for teaching or for research and PhD. Basically, the exam that happens is the same, it's the same question paper. The difference happens in the cutoff marks. The cutoff for JRF is higher than the cutoff of lecturership. What do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, you have cutoff of lecturership for maybe 100 marks. So that means if you clear 100 marks, you are eligible for lecturership. You will get certificate of NET, National Eligibility Test Certificate, which is valid for life. That means you are eligible to apply for teaching positions in UGC granted universities and colleges for life with the NET certificate. But the cutoff for JRF will be slightly higher. For example, it is 120. So if you fall under anywhere between 100 to 120, you are eligible only for lecturership. But if you cross this 120, that means you are eligible for junior research fellowship. The government will give you fellowship every month to do research or PhD in university granted universities, colleges, labs, institute. There's a whole list of places where you can apply for research or PhD. Now, those who has a higher mark than 120, this is just an example, it's not a set cutoff, it varies. But if you are eligible, if you cross this bar and if you are under JRF, can you apply for lecturership? Of course you can, because you are above, obviously above the lecturership and above the JRF cutoff. So when you have that kind of marks, when you have that kind of cutoff, you are eligible for JRF as well as lecturership. But for JRF, when you get the JRF certificate, when you get your scores, within 2 years of from where you have got the JRF, you need to register and appear for, or you need to register for your PhD or your research work in order to avail the fellowship. Unlike NET, it is not valid for a lifetime. It is 2 years from then on. But for lecturership, the NET certificate is valid for your lifetime. Now, sometimes I have got the doubt that what if I have filled the form for lecturership and my cutoff is more than the JRF cutoff, would I get the fellowship? While filling the form, if you have tick on only lecturership, then even if your score is above the JRF cutoff, you will not get the fellowship. So it is very important that when you fill the form, if your age limit allows you to appear for JRF plus LS, always appear for JRF plus LS. Even though you don't want to pursue later on research or PhD, if you are eligible, appear for JRF plus LS. If not, of course, you can appear only for lecturership. In case you are getting cut off for JRF, and if you don't want to go for research and just go for lecturership, you can do so. There is no harm, right? But if you have got higher cutoff and if you did not fill the form correctly, you would regret it. So make sure while filling the form, if your age limit allows, if you are eligible, do appear for JRF plus lecturership. One more doubt that I frequently get is when can you apply? Can you apply in your first year MSc or the final year MSc? You definitely can apply in the first year of MSc. Not only that, you can also apply after you complete your bachelor's degree. I'll put the link to all these things that we are talking about, all the official website links. I'll put it in the description box, where you can clearly see that it says that bachelors with 10 plus 2 plus 3 are eligible to appear for the NET exam, provided that once you clear this exam, within 2 years you are registering for your research or PhD. Otherwise, as I said, within 2 years, after 2 years of your exam, this will expire. The JRF fellowship time limit will expire. So you have to make sure that you complete your MSc. Just after your BSc, you write the exam, you complete your MSc, and then as soon as possible, before the 2-year limit is done, you get the PhD registration done or your research gets started. When you are in first year, of course, first year of MSc, you can apply. When you are second year of MSc, you can apply. And when you are done with your MSc, definitely you can apply. There is an age limit for JRF. Keep that in mind. So while studying, if you are applying, you will be applying under result awaited category. So that's the only difference. If your MSc passed, that means your results are out and you can apply directly. But if you are studying after BSc or during your MSc you will be applying under the result awaited category. So that means in order to avail the fellowship, you will have to submit your results and you will have to start, or you have to register for your PhD or your research. So the difference here would be, if you're very confident that you're going to, if you're going to like able to do your masters in time and get the PhD registered, then it's good enough. Go ahead and apply for in your after your bachelor's, or you also have option of MSc integrated PhD. But if not, either in the first year or in the second year of your MSc, you can prepare well and you can apply. The advantage is, when it comes to NET, you know, the syllabus is everything that you study in BSc, in MSc, even in your plus 2s, that whatever you have studied. So when you are applying in your MSc, somewhere you are anyway studying for your MSc. So both ways it's helpful for your MSc as well as preparation for the NET itself. So appearing anywhere that is comfortable for you, you can just have a look at the eligibility criteria and make your call. Now, for those who are appearing for the CSIR NET exam or are preparing to appear for CSIR NET exam, Unacademy has got a last minute strategy marathon for you in the life science, where they are going to discuss all the possible tips and tricks that can help you in understanding and cracking the life science CSIR NET exam. For example, when you click on the link that is given in the description box, it's all completely free. You will see that on 20th of November, full day is dedicated to last minute strategy preparation, where they are going to discuss all the tips and tricks for part A, how you can score above 100 marks and how you can score overall maximum in the paper, how you can avoid negative marking, how you can stay motivated throughout the exam. All of this at different time slots, happening from 8 a.m. in the morning. So you can have a look at the timetable and see what you are interested in, maybe multiple classes. Just click on the notify me button and you will be notified when this class goes live, and it is completely free. So make sure that you take advantage of this tips and tricks and make note of these preparation strategies that are given to you for the last minute preparation. And with that, that's all. I think I have cleared all the frequently asked questions that I get most of the time. In case I have missed something or you still have further doubts that you want me to clarify, put it in the comment section or reach out to me on Instagram. I'll try to address all your doubts. So that's all. I hope this video was helpful. I will see you next time. Until then, keep learning.